hello, and welcome back to week 11 of the Hearthstone Global Games. I'm Falcone, joined again by Rob Wing, and it's the final game of the day, only for today, unfortunately, but it's going to be Italy versus Bulgaria.
Really excited about this one. You know, we didn't get a chance to cast either of these teams over in the North America side. We mostly do the Americas and Asia Pacific, but we kind of had the myth of Bulgaria over there. You know, Best Udyr EU and Morgulad are names we know pretty well, so we saw them start doing well and moving up, and we were assuming until we watched the VODs that it was just because Best Udyr EU was carrying everyone.
Quite a few things in common between these teams, actually. They're both very community-focused teams. Like with Italy, a big thing for them is that apparently in Italy, esports is frowned upon. Like they're very traditional. They don't like the idea of people just playing video games for a living. They're very much more liking people going and getting proper jobs.
Proper jobs.
I know, right? Ugh, shudder at the thought. But Snowman was saying to me he wants them to change that. He wants to win the Hearthstone Global Games and prove that they are capable of winning these huge tournaments, and maybe then people will start to look at esports differently. It's very much about the community. Bulgaria, it's the same kind of thing. I know that the guys were very, very proud to support their or to have their nation supporting them. I think it was Morgulad, every time he wins a game, he waves the Bulgarian flag around because he's so proud to be Bulgarian and to be doing this.
No, it's super awesome to see. The rosters here, Bulgaria represented, as I mentioned, Morgulad, Best Udyr EU, Golem Pichaga, and Silent Storm. Italy represented by Innovan, Turna, Snowman, and Yawgmoth. Now, one of the players I really like for Italy is Turna. We actually had him last year at the Hearthstone Championship Tour.
Right.
And he was just a really fun guy. He's a very bright kid. He's very energetic and excited about Hearthstone, and as you said, the culture of Italy and esports within that country. So cool to see these names we kind of got to know over the Hearthstone Championship Tour last year, now able to compete for their country's pride in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Yeah, and they're definitely working at it. I need to check my notes for just a second, but Snowman was just telling me yesterday there was a LAN. Like, they still have LANs. They still have these tournaments in Italy.
Sure.
And there was a LAN, and he came second place, Snowman. I will get the name of the LAN for you in a minute. But and that was just 2 or 3 days ago, or within the last week at some point. So as well as playing the Hearthstone Global Games, these guys are still working like in their own scenes, doing what they can. And Snowman's also still studying for a doctorate in economics or something. So these guys are good at multitasking, better than I am, that's for sure.
No, it's something where we see a lot of these players who are not necessarily doing this for a living, but they are trying to kind of get to that point. They are wearing many hats. They have to find time to have jobs, go to school, participate in their local scenes. Obviously, coming from the UK, there's just a ton going on in that local scene. It seems like it's a lot of that way for Asia Pacific, LATAM, and Europe. Interestingly enough, in North America, that's not necessarily as common in some of the states. We don't necessarily have like a ton of lands, so it is cool when we get the somewhat DreamHack Austin. But yeah, it's really cool to see the kind of individual pursuits of these players and then how it intersects in a format like the Hearthstone Global Games.
It was the Italian LAN. Simply called the Italian.
You couldn't
LAN.
remember the Italian LAN.
It was.
Aren't you Italian?
It was hosted in Milan, and it had a 3K prize pool. And Snowman came second.
You could not remember the Italian LAN in Milan.
Rob, please.
I'm just.
Can we just move on?
Legitimate question. All right. Well, the first game is going to be Best Udyr EU on the Rogue and Innovan on the Hunter. Now, regardless whether it's Miracle or Quest Rogue, this is really where the Hunter tends to feast. Interesting that Best Udyr EU chose to queue into this. Hunter, you know, if it gets that strong early curve and just keeps pressing damage, absolutely destroys Rogue, and it's kind of the place where the Hunter has found its niche in this ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, aggressive decks typically are very good against Rogue, be it Pirate Warrior, Aggro Druid, like even the new Token Shaman. All of these aggressive decks are very, very strong against Rogue. Rogue can kind of counter with Glacial Shard if they can bounce that a lot of times.
Right. Maybe
with Tar Creeper, Tovis Stone Shaper can be a key card in those matchups. But I don't know. This is going to be a good game for Italy, I can tell already.
Well, it's a situation, too, where even if it's not the Quest Rogue, if it's the Miracle Rogue, you have cards, we mentioned them earlier, Swashbuckler. Yeah, that can certainly net you some important resources. Hallucination, yeah. You can potentially get Explosive Trap, you can get Unleash the Hounds. You get things from the Hunters that are actually good with dealing with the board. So
yeah, it's funny how it works.
It's not unwinnable, but it's certainly going to be an uphill battle for whatever Rogue deck this is.
It is going to be Miracle Rogue. First Miracle Rogue of the day. Okay, I'm excited to see this. Tar Creeper. That's not a common card in Miracle Rogue.
It's not super common from the list I've seen. It's certainly Tar Creeper has found a home in a lot of decks where you wouldn't have necessarily thought during the preview period for Journey to Ungoro it would. You know, it is essentially more often than not on the defensive, just a 3-mana Ascension Shieldmaster.
Right.
And you're not really looking for it to push damage, so you just kind of need that wall up early to protect yourself. And certainly, Miracle Rogue is a deck that is looking to protect itself. Now, Shiv is also fairly interesting. We don't see a whole lot of Shiv. This almost screams to me like this is, you know, potentially some sort of Malagos thing back in the day with Emperor Thorsan.
Malagos, does that card still exist?
Malagos does exist. It was last seen in Frozen's Aviana Kun deck prior to set rotation.
It's regularly seen from Ambers.
Yeah.
Maybe not regularly, but
Regularly is a strong word.
Slightly worse than Ysera, I guess.
All right, Innovan got that strong opening curve there, at least on the 1 and 2. Bittertide Hydra, wow. That is...
Okay.
I talk all the time with Core about how Hunter kind of doesn't necessarily see a ton of innovation, but Bittertide Hydra is one of those cards that occasionally sneaks in. The 5 spot is generally reserved for Tundra Rhino.
Yeah.
And I do believe we saw Tundra Rhino as one of the cards being mulliganed, so kind of curious to see how this deck list differs from that traditional mid-range style.
Previously, Stranglethorn Tiger was sometimes seen as the 5-drop, but I guess Bittertide Hydra is just more aggressive. It's just bigger, it's just better. The Hunters sometimes do like to steal some things from the Token Druid decks. We have seen Vicious Fledgling tried to be played on 2 and 3, because that can do some devastating things, but ultimately, it's just not quite as strong without the Innovate.
Yeah, the point you made about the pink bird there, that might actually be extremely relevant. It is certainly more indicative of the aggressive style. Might even see, I believe I've run into it a couple times, Cat Trick is also in there.
Right.
It's designed to be as much of a face hunter as face hunter can be. Obviously 2017 face hunter is much, much different from 2014 and 2015 face hunter.
That's true. It's hard to even look at 2017 Face Hunter as a Face Hunter. The way it's built with the kind of the Tolvir, is it Tolvir Warden?
Yeah.
That pulls out 2 1-drops. Very slow card for a Face Hunter deck, but it's only slow on the turn you play it, then speeds up the game dramatically afterwards. Innovan gonna have a pretty nice time here of just curving into Kindly Grandmother.
Yeah, discussing it over with the rest of his team, though, I don't even think this is a question of, like, do I Hero Power or do I Kindly Grandmother so much as they're just discussing potentially what the long road plan looks like. I mean, to me, it seems fairly straightforward, though. Kindly Grandmother into that Animal Companion. Just start hitting rogues in the face.
Hitting rogues in the face, it's something that the rogues don't like very much.
No, it, you know, there was the Smork song, and it was, one of the lyrics was, kill the rogue.
Well, there you go.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Razor Petal, Lasher, it might be tempting this turn just to play it and get rid of the Fiery Bat. You'd have to use the coin, though. And if you're using the coin, maybe coin Tar Creeper is better. Dagger up, hit the Kindly Grandmother, and backstab the Big Bad Wolf. Also, might be quite tempting, though you do leave the Fiery Bat nicely intact then.
Well, and that's one of the areas where when we talk about, you know, okay, this is unfavored for the Rogue because it's an aggressive deck. The Rogue has tools that actually do allow them to take the board. And once the Hunter's off the board, if the health total is not like sub 15, things actually get kind of dicey for the Hunter, depending on what the Miracle Rogue has cycled into. Maybe Arcane Giants that are cheap, borderline free. So
I imagine for a moment there, Innovan would have been terrified of Edwin Van Cleef because that turn started with Prep Shiv. There is a coin in Best Duda's hand, so Prep Shiv coin Edwin would have been devastating turn, but luckily for Innovan, no Edwin present. He's still in a pretty good spot here. Animal Companion might be tempting. If you can get Leok, you get an amazing trade. Misha would be fine too.
yeah, actually looking over at this, I really like where Best Dude or EU is at right now. Just in terms of what's in the hand, unless Animal Companion just does something like absolutely nutty, and even then, like I think to your point, Leok might actually just be as nutty as it gets.
Yeah.
Trying to think maybe Misha.
Misha's okay, but it does just die to an Eviscerate.
Sure.
Tougher is the weakest. So Innovan is just trying to work out, does he go for the Leok or does he play Eagle Hornbow? Eagle Hornbow is the safe play, that's for certain. Gonna take that. It's the safe play, but less of a, I guess, high roll potential there.
No, I think I like getting the bow developed there. I think, you understand basically that if you roll Huffer, as much as you would like to most of the time, there is just potential the backstab comes down, and then your opponent still has 4 mana to work with.
Right.
So you are potentially in a bad spot. Yeah, I think the bow is just the more even play most of the time.
Yep, Bo's going to make short work of this.
Oh my goodness, if that Tundra Rhino sticks.
Just, yeah, best may have a 5-mana 8/8 smacking him in the face. You thought King Crush was bad. What about a charging Bittertide Hydra? It was Leok the whole time.
Well, it probably wouldn't have been Leok before, Can't count on that. But Leok is pretty solid here, all things considered. Now, you did just see a backstab. I say it's solid because it's a 2/4 body, and it's likely to survive this turn. So,
but now, Bulgaria, Tar Creeper Coin Eviscerate seems very strong. Could even go Hallucination Eviscerate. Why not? See what we can grab from the opponent's class. Huh.
King Crush.
Might have
Are
two charging 8/8.
Best Udi or EU, are you ready to be my hero? Are you ready to choose that King Crush?
What's better, though, a 9-mana charging 8/8 or a 5-mana charging 8/8?
I mean, I feel like that's fairly straightforward, but...
It is straightforward.
Yeah.
Crackling Razormaw is no good whatsoever. We don't even know if... Well, I doubt that Bulgaria even runs any beasts, which means Kill Command is a little bit lacking as well.
Yeah, I think I just like King Crush. I mean, so Kill Command, 3 mana for 3 damage isn't bad. Like, I actually think that's the legitimate choice. But, I don't know, King Crush,
You just like King Crush?
I'm trying to think of, like, an intelligent reason for King Crush, but I can't think of one. I just think...
great animation.
Yeah.
He stomps onto the board.
Reminds me a lot of Jurassic Park. That's pretty cool.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You should pick King Crush because it reminds you of Jurassic Park.
I mean...
I'm taking that as advice now moving forward.
All right, so the Tundra Rhino here kind of gets a bit bodied by the Tar Creeper.
It does get rid of it, though.
Yeah.
Not on its side.
Softens is up, though, is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know your opponent has a Razor Petal, so maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you just did not live in a world where you ever thought the Tundra Rhino Bittertide Hydra dream was going to come true.
Do you ever consider just dropping Bittertide Hydra here?
Well,
because you could have a new dream with the Tundra Rhino, and that's the turn 10 Rhino, Hyena, Unleash the Hounds dream.
I mean, the Hounds already have charge, though, so it's like not really a dream. It's like...
It buffs up the Hyena.
Yeah.
It means that can charge for 10 or whatever damage.
No, I know, but it's like if you want to play all the minions at charge. This is obviously a fairly silly line to discuss, but yeah, I think just playing down the Bittertide Hydra is fine. I mean, you're going into the potential of a coin Vilespine Slayer.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you've seen Tar Creeper now, you've seen Shiv. You might think, okay, this is a little bit different of a list than I'm used to. Tundra Rhino is also fine here because you're basically saying to your opponent, okay, you have to invest mana to deal with this.
Yep, deal with this, use up your removal, then I'll drop an 8/8, which you won't be able to deal with, I think is the thinking behind this one. Oh, that works too.
Well, this is fine. It's one of those situations where...
Had either of us considered that? I don't think we had.
No, I was 100% and I'm like, oh, let's kill it, but...
This makes sense too. Makes more sense, actually.
Well, that's why we're casting and they're playing in tournaments. Okay, well, Tundra Rhino goes to its grave. Always was gonna.
Believe
now back to the drawing board. Yeah.
Bittertide Hydra is a little bit risky because, as you said earlier, Italy know there's a Razor Petal in Bulgaria's hand. So that's 3 damage that Italy will be taking. We can see there's a Shiv, there's a Kill Command. So Bittertide Hydra will be dealt with.
Yeah, I guess one consideration point when it comes to a card like Bittertide Hydra is you're always kind of nervous to play it if you are playing against a class that you know has some form of dedicated removal.
Yeah.
But
Rogue has a lot of that.
It only gets worse as time goes on, right? Because your opponent has more time to dig through the deck. So being mathematically oriented, you would think playing it sooner is just strictly better.
Well, there you go. You said that the Rogue has removal. That's removal. Eviscerate going to do it. Eviscerate with the Razor Petal and the Kill Command. Problem is now is that Bulgaria's Rogue is out of stuff. How many coins are in this deck?
Enough to buy a sandwich and probably a cola.
I feel like that's the... I think both counterfeit coins were in the mulligan and then thrown away. Or one was, at least. But we've seen a lot of coins. Just no Edwins or no Gadgets and Auctioneers just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take him a fair few resources to get through this.
basically, Best Uda needs to pick up Gadgetzan Auctioneer right now. Needs to turn those coins into cards that actually do something.
Kind of, but at the same time, there's nothing that's really threatening to get through this Tar Creeper.
Not yet.
Right, but
Won't
I mean,
take long,
it feels like you have time. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, Best Uda's hand is not good right now, and he does need to find something, but it's not. Sometimes when you're playing against a hunter, you are just facing down like real world problems where you're like, oh, you know, he's just killing me. Most of the hunter's plays have just been firmly locked behind a 3-mana 3/5 that is sometimes a 1/5. And that Tar Creeper is just holding the line.
It's just funny that Leok has been sitting there for so long as well, just not doing anything. Which is buffing his friends, but they're not doing anything either because the Tar Creeper's still there.
Yeah. In hindsight, I do think Amisha would have been better overall.
Then you add the Direwolf and you just deal with the Tar Creeper straight away.
Yeah.
Italy going to have to decide what they want to commit to the board here. I don't mind a Rat Pack. I don't mind the Direwolf either. You can make their Rat Pack a 4/2 minion, which when it dies, spits out 4 rats.
Yeah. That is one interesting point here.
Oh, okay. He missed. I was wondering if that was supposed to go in the middle. It seemed to go everywhere but the middle.
Yeah. All right, Swashbuckler gives him a card. Oh, if he'd only saved the kill command.
Yeah?
Short-sighted.
Yeah. Or taking the Crackling Razor Maw.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta want it.
All right, well, it's really up to Best Uda to start doing something now, I think. He needs to prevent this Rat Pack from getting all of that value.
Yeah, now that he's going wide on the board, too. Suddenly the Scavenging Hyena Unleash the Hounds play.
Yeah, I think Innovan
becomes a real threat.
Innovan just plays everything, right?
Yeah.
If the board stays like...
Well, let's see what he draws.
Depends on the Rat Pack, though, because that could clog up a lot of space.
I think that Rat Pack is going to escape this situation as a 3/2.
Yeah.
And this Tar Creeper, over the next 14 turns, is going to kill the Hunter.
Well, at least he's got a plan, right?
All right. So, yeah, the Leok still being up, you know, as much as we said that Misha in real time would have been better, the Unleash the Hounds suddenly looking pretty juicy. Could roll the Animal Companion as well, hit the second Leok, and just make that, yeah. These Hounds now are 3/1s with charge.
You have to waste so much... Oh, I guess you could put 2 Hounds into the Tar Creeper.
Oh.
But it feels annoying not trading in the Rat Pack, but then your board's so full at the moment anyway, it doesn't matter.
I just want to point out, Best Uda or EU had the opportunity to kill off the Leok instead of the Direwolf Alpha.
Punished then, I guess.
I mean, I'm trying to think if there was... Yeah, the dogs would have still gotten the buff, I guess, but the other minions probably wouldn't have, because of the positioning. The Direwolf Alpha was where the Leok is now.
Yeah.
So the Hounds would have gotten the buffs.
Okay.
But then the Rat Pack is a 3/2, Leok is a 2/3.
How do you sequence this trade, by the way? Because, like, do you actually put the Hound into the Swashbuckler just to buff up the Hyena more? Nope. I was wondering if you then trade the Rat Pack into the Hyena just to spawn the rats, but no. Taking a slightly more conservative approach.
I mean, you have so much damage already. Gosh, if he could see, if he could actually see Best Uda or EU's hands right.
This had better be a good Swashbuckler.
I mean, it's not good actually, because I think it's just going to buff up the Hyena. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both got there.
Looking for the silver lining.
Just, you know what, make a spectacle of it. Why not, Best Uda? Trade into the Rat Pack, let him have his rats, put down the explosive trap, and let this Hyena do some magical things.
Yeah.
So many options.
Yeah, think till rope, nope, kill the rogue. That's you know, Italy showed some patience there, ended up paying off. They had to unleash the Hounds and the Scavenging Hyena for a while, managed to roll that second Leok, and then just from there, it was off to the races, and that was a giant Hyena. And Scavenging Hyena, probably for the first time in his career since like 2014, really probably the most important card, I think, in Hunter right now. I think it has actually managed to supersede Savannah Highmane.
Yeah, I was saying this to Lorinda last week. It's just bizarre to me that we spent years where that card's barely seen any play.
Yeah.
And suddenly, it's in every Hunter deck ever.
I think it's because Totem Golem's out here, legitimately.
Right.
Yeah, I think Totem Golem being gone freed up some of these other 2 drops, but that is going to be a win for Italy.
It's got to be partially because there are so many tokens, beast tokens specifically in the Hunter deck as well.
Yeah.
Look at the Alley Cat, the Rat Pack, the Infested Wolf, Kindly Grandmother, etc., etc. You've always got a beast on the board. But next up, it's going to be Morgalad on the Druid versus Yawgmoth on the Shaman. Druid versus Shaman. Have we seen this matchup today? I don't think we have.
No, I don't think we've seen it today. And again, I don't necessarily want to go too deeply into the hypotheticals because this could be extremely different based on the matchup. Traditionally, what we will say is that Druid has a difficult time dealing with a wide board. If it's the more control-oriented Shaman, obviously the Jade Druid, it has a difficult time dealing with a wide board.
Yeah.
And a lot of the minions for the token Shaman, which is what I'd expect this to be, have 2 health. We don't necessarily see the days of spell-powered swipes anymore with Azure Drake rotated to wild, so that is something to keep in mind, is if the Shaman gets a healthy board, then it is something where the Druid can suffer.
Druids just don't have wide board clears. Maybe a Primordial Drake at some point, maybe, but that's about
The
it.
Primordial Drake is a godsend. Now, if it is the aggro Druid, again, not diving too deeply,
Yeah.
that certainly changes the equation because you're not looking to manage the board off of the back of removal.
We got a quick look at the player cams a moment ago, and I saw Morgalad's flag there, ready to go, like on the chair next to him. He's ready to win the game and wave it around. He's had the chance to wave that flag a lot in the past because he's won a lot of his games. I believe he spent most of his run in the Hearthstone Global Games so far piloting Warrior. I remember talking to Raven about it because Raven was saying to me, yeah, because the first few times he played Pirate Warrior every time. And then he just switched and played Taunt Warrior and caught his opponent off guard.
Yeah.
Just using the mind games to his advantage there.
Other players have talked about the advantage of being able to switch gears and kind of prey upon your opponent thinking they have you figured out in terms of what you're going to do. So because the players don't have access to the deck lists, that is a very real benefit. So it is cool to see when players switch it up. I think we had Amnesiac go from, in the North America broadcast, he went from Quest Rogue to Miracle Rogue to Pirate Warrior, and then he just went to Quest Warrior. Like, he was just switching it up every time.
Why not?
Yeah.
Keep them on their toes. It's a legitimate strategy, part of the mind games in Hearthstone. If you play off-meta decks, like we saw Dr. Hippie playing earlier, you can steal a cheeky win with it because your opponent just won't be anticipating it. They won't know what to expect, and you can just beat them with cards that they weren't expecting to have to play against, while you're playing against cards that you know that you're going to be playing against. So you just have more knowledge than your opponents.
Yeah, it's one of the very valid strategies that we've seen coming out of the Hearthstone Global Games thus far. Obviously, it's still a format which is very much in its infancy. I'd love to see kind of what the teams do after the first iteration of it and see what was really the correct way to approach it.
You know, I was just about to say, and for that reason, I expect Big Druid from Morgalad, but no, it's J Druid.
Big Druid, I don't think is quite caught on in the Hearthstone Global Games format just yet. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of European players just get those easy wins with Big Druid, but it seems like the Hearthstone Global Games is not ready for it just yet. They're still on the Jade Golem train.
One player played it last week. I don't recall who, but one player played it last Wednesday.
Did he get an easy win?
No.
Hate to see that.
Yeah.
I played about 30 games of that deck, and it is very satisfying.
It's great fun.
I had the Barnes into the Deathwing Dragonlord against the Pirate Warrior. I actually posted that up on Twitter, and then you pop the Deathwing Dragonlord, and then 2 Primordial Drakes, a Ysera, and then like a Deathwing came out. It was great.
The mind games in that deck are huge for sure, because you can, if you get Giant Anaconda, for example, you can sit there, and your opponent will wonder, do I trade into it now? Do I leave it up?
No. It's literally the equivalent once it's down of just being like Genji and going Mata Mata, just over and over. Anyway, in this game.
Yeah, just side-chucking a little bit much there.
Yeah, Jade Golem into the Token Shaman. Token Shaman is, I believe, the most popular deck we've seen thus far today.
Yeah.
It's just been everywhere.
It's a lot of people are saying it's the most powerful deck at the moment.
Yeah. What the Druid really wants to see here is ramp. They really want to get to those later game turns where they can start dropping Primordial Drake to kind of bring the board to heal. Obviously, the win condition of the Jade Druid requires them to go late into their deck and just start going infinite on Jade Golems. And yes, the Shaman minions aren't necessarily that intimidating at the early going, but the Bloodlust just has the very real potential of just blowing the Druid out.
It does, and that's the thing. The Shaman can go wide. Unfortunately, Yawgmoth's hand doesn't look like he's going to be going wide anytime soon. He's got the Doppelgangster, but lo and behold, no Evolve in his hand. That does seem to be a recurring theme today.
I think we did see an Evolve earlier today.
Yeah, I think we saw one.
But I don't think it even got used.
No.
Yeah.
Primal Fin Totem, exactly what Yawgmoth would have wanted here, but nope. Just going to summon the 1-1 without the 0-3 that spawns them. Disappointing start.
Yeah, meanwhile, Morgulad has that Jade Blossom, so next turn he will be able to ramp. Can just go ahead and use the hero power, tidy up the board, get rid of that totem. This totem, generally speaking, not what you want to see when you coin out that totem roll. You want to see something with an 0-2 that's going to stick.
Hey, there's the evolve.
Nice.
The combo is there ready to go in 4 turns time.
Well, and it's worth noting, too, that generally, yeah, maybe it's a little bit different against Jade Druid because Jade Druid's AoE clear is so bad. But in a lot of matchups, Doppelgangster into Evolve isn't the actual win condition.
No.
It's just more that you get a bunch of stats and the board sticks, you go for that Bloodlust, and that's how you actually win the game.
But as you said, against Jade Druid, it can act as a win condition because they don't often have a way of clearing things. And patches being picked up there, really not what Yawgmoth wants to see. This might be the worst Evolved Shaman hand we've seen all day.
I have to go back and look at them. I think there was one from the Southeast Asia game that felt pretty bad at first, but I mean, the nice thing for them is, yeah, the hand's a little clunky now, but they're going to have time to develop it.
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised to see another hero power pass, just maybe swing into the 1-1 and just keep trying to build the board out.
What is this turn? Yeah, I just hero power and use the Jade Claw.
I mean, you could put down the Flame Tongue Totem, but I don't think you're necessarily getting that much value out of it.
You're just throwing it into a Wrath.
I mean, you're doing 3 damage is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's okay that it demands a Wrath, though.
But
what is the Druid's turn 5? It's pretty much just going to be Nourish.
I prefer just hero powering here. I just feel as though there's no reason to deal that damage right now.
Yeah.
You may as well just play it nice and slow. Getting the 1-1 over and over again, probably not exactly what you want. Getting the one that just dies to the hero power. Where's Taunt Totem at?
There's Jade Spirit.
That'll do.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about getting the hero power in to deal with either of the 1-1s.
It's kind of weak to Flame Tongue Totem, though. One of the 1-1s will deal with the Jade Spirit itself. The other one, yeah, will deal with the Jade Golem, no worries.
Yeah.
Even the weapon could do that, so...
But it's not like a blowout Flame Tongue Totem.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Flame Tongue Totem here and then hero power again. I mean, the nice thing is when the thing from below comes in, it's just going to start getting really cheap. I think this is going to be totem number 3 and 4, respectively, if they go the line of Flame Tongue into hero power.
If they're doing that, they want to get their sequencing right, though. They probably don't want to roll the Searing Totem, the 1-1 from the hero power. So doing this first makes more sense. Then you pop down the Flame Tongue somewhere in the middle, obviously, and then you trade the 1-1 in so that the positioning's best. Trade the Searing Totem in, I mean.
Yawgmoth 100% does not want that Searing Totem just returned to sender. Every single time, just tries to get rid of it.
That's what's happened so far this game. Now, different question. Does Yawgmoth consider dropping the Doppelgangster next turn?
That's tough. I mean, yeah, on paper it lines up pretty decently. Because you're saying, okay, my opponent can have swipe.
Yep.
Then they swipe one hero power another.
In front of us, it lines up decently as well.
Yeah.
But there's the risk of, I guess, Innovate, double swipe. Innovate Primordial Drake would be a disaster.
It's really greedy considering you could just wait a turn.
Yeah.
Like, I think I like in all conceivable universes and then some that have yet to be discovered out in space. I think I just like the Doppelgangster Evolve there. And yeah, you get the Primal Fin Totem, so...
Yeah, now Yawgmoth actually has another play to make. He can play that, he can hero power, he can drop patches if he wants to. Probably no reason to play around board clears too much now when you're about to develop another board.
Yeah, I like going in here with just a strong showing. The Flame Tongue Totem, I don't know that I need to play it. I think I want Primal Fin hero power.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you play Flame Tongue, I guess you drop patches as well, deal an extra 3 damage.
Yeah, but I don't think the Druid's health is low enough. I don't know. For me, it doesn't seem like it's really like low enough necessarily to just start generating the damage. But I guess you think, hey, I have to get it there.
Yeah, see, I don't mind it too much just because it does present a threatening board, which now, if Morgulad deals with that, he's probably not going to deal with the Doppelgangster board.
Sure. No, I'm in. It's one of those things where, especially because you're using your second Flame Tongue Totem as well, that's the most value you get from patches.
And it blocks that Jade Behemoth.
Yeah.
That Jade Behemoth's not doing anything next turn. Well, it is. It's buffing up Jade Golems by 1-1, but that's about it. Yawgmoth's hand has gone from looking horrible to actually doing a lot of work against Morgulad here.
Yeah, kind of the Curse of Druid right here is kind of, well, you can drop your Giant Taunt. It's going to probably just get chewed through.
Yeah.
And you don't even have the ability to throw in a hero power, which would have at least kind of mitigated some of the effect, just getting one of those minions off the board, just taking the 3 damage to yourself. Could just go ahead and Feral Rage and just get rid of the totem there. All right, the Earthen Scales, yeah, the Earthen Scales complicates the math.
Yeah, now it's not as clean for the Flame Tongue totem. Though, does it matter too much?
Well, I think you're going to make these trades before you go into the Doppelgangster
Yeah.
Evolve situation. I think the problem is this requires you to put 3 minions into the Jade Behemoth, so you're getting 1 less evolution.
I wonder if it's ever worth considering Devolve Mana Tide totem this turn? Or is that playing too much into the Primordial Drake? Primordial Drake won't actually be able to deal with anything.
Well, the stats on the Jade Behemoth itself, I mean, you would take it down to a 5-mana minion, and the average stats on a 5-mana minion, is it really that much better?
It's around 4-5,
Yeah.
approximately. So,
It just basically means
Yeah.
you only have to spend like 2 minions. It just seems like a lot when you could be getting proactive.
that's true. No, you're right. Doppelgangster Evolve. Stick with plan A. Put everything into this Behemoth. It's annoying that he can't deal with the 3-3,
Right.
but at least there's no risk of getting a Doomsayer here from
Yeah.
this Evolve. That's why you trade in the spell damage totem first.
All right, so decent stats. The Poisonous Snake, unfortunately, going to be dealt with.
5-5. I guess that's about what you expect. I think that's slightly below average from a...
Still, for when you're playing against a Druid, that is a big
Hey.
deal. I do want to point out Mind Control, though, suddenly into the hand of Morgulad, or Mind Control tech.
Oh, yeah, Mind Control itself would be surprising, but...
How did you do that?
Yeah, Mind Control Tech going to do a lot of work here as long as it doesn't take the 2-3, and you can actually prevent that from happening by trading the Jade Golem into it. But maybe you feel the need to trade it into the Poisonous Minion, so that that's not...
Hedge
gonna
your
be
bets,
doing
yeah.
Anything else you get. Head
I mean,
Volage
the
there.
Cobra is surprisingly relevant if you hope to put down the Primordial Drake sometime soon.
Head Volage there, just another one of the minions, not seen very often. Production kindly reminding us what the card does.
No, they're like, you're going to talk about this.
We think we're in charge of the broadcast.
No.
Think again.
All right. You got a 5-5.
I mean, we were saying the Druids are going to struggle to deal with the Shaman's board, but that's a good way of doing it. Just take one of their minions for yourself.
Sure.
And now, suddenly the Druid board is looking stronger again.
Yeah, Mind Control Tech, we saw this again in DreamHack Summer. There was a Mind Control Tech and a Jade Druid deck. I forget whose exactly, but it kind of helps alleviate the problem of I can't deal with wide boards, because if the board goes too wide, you just steal a minion.
It was who did Zump beat with his N'Zoth Paladin?
Seiko? Yeah, it was Seiko.
That was
Okay.
Zeko with the Mind Control Tech.
Yeah, it's a nice band-aid for the problem of being unable to deal with wide boards. But that said, this board can still get pretty sufficiently wide.
Yeah, but Primordial Drake is going to do so much work. Thing from below comes down, but Primordial Drake allows the 3-3 to trade into one of the 5-5s. The other 5-5 trades in as well.
Just pushing here, it looks like. Do you get the value trade on the 3-3?
Oh, with healing that plays around
Yeah.
Primordial Drake so well that I think you have to.
Yep.
Just because the healing term's there.
All right.
You know
You are
that-
technically setting up onboard lethal with Bloodlust, so
Yeah. I really like this play, actually. I hadn't seen it. Seems very
you would not
solid.
visualize the healing totem
Yeah.
healing the Herald Volage.
Yeah. Is Primordial Drake definitely the best play here? It only gets rid of the healing totem. That's all it does, and it puts up a taunt. Can't help but wonder if
I was
that's
going to
better.
say, you have the Innervate,
Let's go.
you have the Scales, see what happens.
Then Scales is pretty good on the Menagerie Warden as well, allowing it to topple the thing from below. A second Mind Control Tech. What is going
Wow,
on?
double Mind Control Tech, that is... Okay.
Ah. They're not
Well, this
quite,
is not lethal now.
it's not quite as nuts as it seemed, though.
Okay.
Yawgmoth still well placed to get rid of this board. Jade Lightning going to deal with one minion. Held for Large going to deal with another.
Yeah, you could just roll here, see if you get that Spell Power Totem. Spell Power Totem would be pretty big.
Devolve actually isn't so great here, is it? Because
No.
the Gadgetzan Auctioneer is a very low-statted minion for its cost. Menagerie Warden, and he has 2 health. Most 5-mana minions have more than 2 health. didn't get it.
Oh, it's the Curse of Searing Totem.
It's just,
Who even invited that guy?
he just really wants to be part of the party in this game. But still, it's fine. You trade the 2/3 into the Menagerie Warden. Held Village could go into the 3/3 to protect the Mana Tide Totem. Oh. Just trying to set up the lethal.
Oh, that is a huge roll off the Maelstrom portal. Morgulad just kind of shrugs like, that's life.
That'll do it. That wouldn't have been lethal, would it, with the Bloodlust?
No.
I can't think of any reason you wouldn't have played the Maelstrom first. That's all.
Okay, well, no spells. Gadget stands out. Eye of Blackpaw is not terrible, but I think you just need to go ahead and get that Primordial Drake.
I agree.
Going, just get rid of that Mana Tide Totem. Then you need to get the Shaman to stop drawing cards, and you take out pretty much all of its board, aside from a 5/1.
Yeah, Morgulad starting to make progress this game, starting to make the Shaman run out of cards. It's just irritating for him that that Mana Tide Totem's not going anywhere.
I mean, it is now. It is now. You can go just Hero Power to deal with it.
Yeah. But,
Oh, no, and this is, I mean, I was really looking at getting rid of the card draw, but he just decides, okay, I want basically the most power off the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stonehill Defender, kind of relying on you, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think that is actually just better, because Bloodlust would have allowed Yawgmoth to get through the Primordial Drake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't see what this Discover is, unfortunately. Not a snap pick, though.
No, whatever it is not a snap pick. Yeah, Yawgmoth is going to need to get back on this board, though. It looks like one more time. And just try to get on the horse with that Bloodlust.
He wants value here, right? It's the thing from below is okay. White Eyes would be fine, I think. Alakir would be good. Okay, so it's Dirty Rat, Abomination, and Tauren Warrior. As you can see.
Well,
They're,
none of these are really super sexy.
no, they're all bad.
Tauren Warrior. I mean, the Dirty Rat is just more of a liability, to be honest.
Yeah.
You want the Druid to actually have to pay for their stuff.
Let's just try and set up lethal again with Devolve and Bloodlust. Unfortunately, Patches was in the opening hand or one of the first cards drawn.
Yeah, another Stonehill Defender, so this is the downside of getting rid of the Herald Village there instead of the Mana Tide Totem is you are allowing the Shaman the ability to draw Stonehill Defender, which is going to create 2 bodies.
Morgulad has to start going with the Gadgetzan Auctioneer now.
Yeah, I mean, there's... The only thing that's kind of scary is, and I think you're right, I think you have to go for it, but there is just a real chance you whiff on the draw. So Eye of Blackpaw just represents more power on board.
Okay. But Devolve Bloodlust is representing lethal at the moment as long as there's no... As long as there's no taunt that replaces one of these cards, which is actually quite likely. It's likely that there will be a taunt, I mean.
Let's see what happens.
Oh, sorry, it's one-off lethal. It would have been lethal if he...
Yeah, with the Hero Power. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he was trading into Stonehill Defender. Don't know why I thought that.
Well, I feel like he's kind of got to make a move, though.
Yeah.
This board is not going to go in his favor, even after the Devolve. With the Devolve, he's really just hoping to get rid of the taunts.
Let's get another Stone to Spore from Maelstrom Portal. Worked earlier.
I mean, that is...
Go again now.
That is certainly an out. Oh my goodness.
Oh dear. 1 taunt been replaced with 2. Yawgmoth not looking too happy about that. Having a laugh, though.
Morgulad looking considerably happier.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say with that, before seeing the taunt, the Baron Geddon actually would have, if those had not been taunts, the Baron Geddon would have iced out the game.
Yeah, but 2 taunts with 6 health.
Well, no, actually, I guess you could have traded it out.
Yeah.
Oh, could you have? All right, Alakir is certainly some extra juice. Yeah, he's just going to go ahead and start clearing things off the board.
So sad. Such a disappointing Bloodlust there.
Yeah.
He does get rid of the taunts.
Also gets rid of his Mana Tide Totem, it looks like, and that's pretty depressing.
Alakir is 6 burst damage. Baron. Oh, he's
okay, so he's going to keep it. Yeah, that Bloodlust was especially small.
I wonder if he should have traded it in. It depends on what his next draw is, really. If he gets, say, Flame Tongue Totem, then the Alakir is going to deal a lot of damage.
I think he's used both Flame Tongue Totems already. Yeah.
Never mind then.
That's why the Alakir is a little bit less attractive of a pick.
Yeah.
Okay, so no way to get rid of the Baron Geddon, which is which is interesting. The Shattered Sun Cleric is going to unfortunately die. Not that it's really like a huge point, realistically, but
Shattered Sun Cleric. That used to be a really strong card.
it did back when it was a 3/3.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, Doppelgangster no evolve. Now can get through the taunt. So if you were to taunt here, or not taunt, if you were to Maelstrom Portal. Okay, get him rolled high.
oh no! Not playing around it correctly.
Does it matter? Were you going to play Doppelgangster?
He didn't look happy about it.
Well,
I just know he
sure,
didn't
but
look happy about it.
I think it's still okay.
Emerald Hive Queen, of course, makes all minions in the hand cost 2 more because it's a very well statted 1-drop. I think he wanted to play the Alakir here. That's the problem.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it would have allowed him to get rid of the Baron Geddon in the auction. I guess the upside is that there was a world where if the totem rolled, yeah, basically Auctioneer was going to die this upcoming turn, whether you allocate it or not.
That's true. But it gets all its value this way.
And this is just game
That's
with the,
gonna do it.
yep.
Wow, there we go. Morgalad, as usual, proudly waving the Bulgarian flag.
Yeah, its shirt says trust him, so I'm going to be inclined to trust him.
I definitely trust Morgalad at this point. I would love him to be on my team if I was in a Hearthstone tournament.
I mean, could just do a bring your pro to work day and have like a caster pro player tournament, but you could, that dream could come true for you. But at any rate, that is going to be a tie series now, 1-1. So we essentially go to a best of 3. Let's go ahead and take a look at the series thus far. Up next, going to be Silent Storm versus Snowman, Paladin versus Druid.
I just want to say quickly about Morgalad as well. Like, he really is a smart guy. I only found out yesterday he has attended international science conferences
Wow.
as part of his doctoral study. There are some smart Hearthstone players out there.
Yeah.
No wonder he gets his wins.
No, it's you know, I think if you can attend an international science conference, you can also probably, you know, navigate Jade Druid pretty well.
But yeah, next up it's going to be Silent Storm versus Snowman. I like Snowman a lot. I've been talking to him a lot between weeks saying, hey, how's my favorite team doing? And buttering him up. But he's the guy that came second in the Italian LAN a few days ago.
At Milan.
At Milan. The Italian LAN.
At Milan.
The Italian LAN.
I actually, so Silent Storm being on the Bulgarian team was actually, there, so if you don't know, there's a famous Canadian player named Silent Storm. He was well known for ESL Legendary Series. We actually just saw him in the top 4 of the Wild tournament.
Right.
So he's very well known, but there's also like 8 other Silent Storms in the world. So when I first saw these come out, I was like, I saw Silent Storm was on the Bulgaria team. I was like, Silent Storm's Bulgarian? But no, it's just one of the many other Silent Storms there. So yeah.
There are a lot of Silent Storms out there. This one, though,
Yeah.
he's competing in the Hearthstone Global Games, and he intends to protect the name of Bulgaria.
The good name of Bulgaria.
He believes that Bulgaria has already demanded respect. He wants to protect that respect.
That's, I mean, we actually hear a lot of that going throughout a lot of this tournament. Some of the countries that are not necessarily as well known in Hearthstone are very fiercely loyal to the identity of their countries and kind of how they can show the rest of the world they mean business. And yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but that's also been especially prominent in, say, LATAM and Southeast Asia.
Well, a couple of the things the other Bulgarian players have said is like, yeah, we want to prove that Bulgaria. There's not many of us that play Hearthstone, but we're very good and we're not to be underestimated. Like they're like, we want to prove themselves. Silent Storm, no, we want to protect our name. So in his mind, like we've already proven ourselves. Now let's just prove it.
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting how a lot of these players kind of look at the opportunity to defend their country in a global competitive setting.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun seeing everyone have that kind of national pride while still managing to make it a friendly thing, right? It's a friendly competition. You want your country to win, but you know it doesn't get to the point of necessarily being a negative thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun to see. Now, Druid versus Paladin, I believe, is what we have here, and we've seen that matchup twice already today with the Control Paladin versus
Jade Druid, right?
Yep. we've seen that. It's interesting to me that Aggro Druid hasn't actually been more popular. I think
No, we've seen one today, right?
Nyria is the only one who's run it, and
Which is really odd to me because as time's been going on, I thought that Aggro Druid was becoming more and more popular and just becoming one of the key decks of the meta. But I think because it's fairly weak against the Evolved Shaman, which is the big new thing that everyone's playing,
right.
I think people are just trying to avoid it.
Now it looks like we are going to see,
Snowman,
though. Okay, Snowman going to be playing the Aggro Druid. So Vicious Fledgling in hand. I think you're going to drop Mark of Yasiraj. Bloodsail Corsair, I assume you keep.
Fledgling is so much better with Innovate, though. If you can
Yeah,
Innovate that,
I was gonna
on
say,
turn one,
you're-
you just win the game.
I mean, I think you just always keep Vicious Fledgling, especially against Paladin.
There was something that me and Lorinda talked about weeks ago now. I mentioned Fledgling and Hunter, and he quizzed me on this. I got it right. He said to me, or he asked me, why do I think Vicious Fledgling doesn't have as high a win rate when in the starting hand in Hunter as it does in Druid? The answer is the card's only really that good with Innovate.
Yeah.
So playing it on turn 3, as we can see here, it's just going to lose to Rallying Blade. Playing it on turn 1, he's got several chances to get a health buff on it. That's what Snowman wants to do here.
So Mark of Yasiraj kept here will not serve to draw a card when played on a minion here on turn 2, but it will at least give it the buff. So interestingly enough, Snowman just choosing to really value that buff. Also the opportunity, obviously, to just draw something better to play on turn 2.
Sure. Corsair turn 1, buff on turn 2, yep. Doesn't need the card draw here. His hand's looking fine for the first few turns.
Yep, but Silent Storm certainly has some aggressive potential in his hand early on.
I wonder if he feels the need to use the coin here. Murloc Tidecaller, Coin Valfin Inquisitor does look like a nice way of countering Snowman's start. Otherwise, if he only plays one, the minion just gets destroyed. Gonna just play one though. He's gonna play the Tidecaller, he'd have played it first.
Okay, so got
Oh.
an interesting option here, Power of the Wild. Do you kind of want to spread the wealth on the buffs, or are you just really feeling that Mark of Yasiraj? I like going for the 3/4 just to safely deal with the Inquisitor.
It's tough because you also think then, oh, maybe I can save the Mark of Yasiraj and use it on a beast, get card draw later.
That seems a little bit ambitious to me.
It's greedy.
I don't think you can really afford to play too greedy.
The other greedy play that he could consider making is actually using Power of the Wild on a wider board to buff up more minions.
Sure.
Seems to just taking a slight break from this game now while we get things fixed. But as far as I know, the game is still carrying on. We'll just hop back in a moment.
And this is just suddenly the Druid just has like a 94/94 Vicious Fledgling, and it's like, wow, that escalated.
That happened. What happened to the Rallying Blade? Like,
No, I don't. It's probably broken. Well, so as we go back into that game, though, I really do like the Mark of Yasiraj there.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get that trade on the Battle Inquisitor. It
I
doesn't.
agree.
It doesn't really make the coin out Rallying Blade really all that attractive.
Oh, okay, gonna use it on the on patches instead. That's fine. I agree. It works out very well. And like I said, Power of the Wild can be used on a wider board later. Bloodsail Corsair into Power of the Wild could be a strong next turn if he decides not to play Vicious Fledgling.
All right, so Snowman here 100% hoping to not see the coin Rallying Blade.
Yeah.
And then just feels like, okay, well, it's not there. I can just go ahead and use the Vicious Fledgling. But he is trying to bait it out and get some more information.
Let me think.
I think at this point, yeah, if you had the coin Rallying Blade,
You just have to play it.
yeah, you're just playing it.
But now the counter from Italy is so strong. Just Bloodsail Corsair,
Yeah,
ditch the weapon.
you might even just Power the Wild on
Yeah.
your 3 minions.
Well,
Oh, you're not even going to get 3 minions, never mind, because you already had the...
yeah, so I don't mind just making a 3-2 here, but Hungry Crab's a great draw as well against a Paladin that has lots of Murlocs in it. We still see a Murloc Tidecaller in Silent Storm's hand. Bloodsail Corsair plus Power of the Wild just seems so good this turn.
Good old Citizen Snips, as he is called in the West. Well, the West. Not your West.
I've never heard that.
The California West.
Right.
Yeah.
Never heard that in my life.
Oh, you never been to California?
No.
No.
You got a European audience here, Rob. Primarily.
I'm trying. I brought up soccer earlier. Sorry,
You mean
football.
football? Yeah.
Football. All right. Well, because patches has already come out, the Bloodsail Corsair play I suggested much less attractive, but it's still worthwhile just to get rid of that Rallying Blade, just to get something going on the board. I do like your suggestion of Bloodsail Corsair into Power of the Wild for a 3-2.
It just sets up for the fledgling next turn so nicely. Silent Storm will be tempted to use any removal he can right now, though there isn't much he can do on 3 mana. There isn't much at all he can do on 3 mana. Outdoor Peacekeeper, that's about it. And you're getting minimal value from that if you play it this turn.
Yeah, but you're playing it. If you play it on the 3-2, it would require all 3 minions to trade into it to get rid of the Peacekeeper to even develop that fledgling.
That's true.
And then what if on turn 4 there's a True Silver? Like these kind of situations start running through your head of, okay, well what actually destroys my fledgling?
Yeah.
If Silent Storm would have chosen to go the Tidecaller Hero Power route, then yeah, that crab would have just been huge. Okay, Savage Roar.
Is that better though? Problem is you can't really play Hungry Crab this turn. You want to use that on a Murloc.
Yeah, I'm just thinking Savage Roar in general. Just get rid of the Peacekeeper, push some damage.
Yeah, pushes 8 damage.
I mean, it's either that or you live in a world where you're going to try to trade all 3 minions in order to play your fledgling, or you just don't play your fledgling and hero power to save one of the 1/2s.
Another option would be play the fledgling and just hit face with everything. It means the outdoor trades into the fledgling next turn, but you still have a wide board that you can use Savage Roar on later.
Yeah, it's important to definitely not get tunnel visioned in on the
It doesn't
fledgling.
feel good to throw the fledgling away like that, but it's just, it might be an option. In fact, playing Hungry Crab as well, just to set up a huge Savage Roar next turn. But then that's so weak to Consecration. In fact, you just pretty much lose the game to Consecration if you make that play. The 3/3 goes into the fledgling. Consecration deals with all 4 of your minions.
Well, now we've thought of every theory, and every theory just gets bunked by Paladin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's just Savage Roar then after all.
Yeah. I like it.
We got there. He got there too. Maybe they had the exact same conversation that we had.
Well, I mean, there was pretty much a check for every single thing that Italy could have done there. I do like just using the Savage Roar, though. While you have minions on the board, you're pushing damage. And I actually think in this particular matchup, Vicious Fledgling could just go the distance. Because you know once you get to the late game with this style of deck, there are just so many top-end threats that are very problematic for you. So I think taking a more aggressive stance is certainly what I like seeing. Wow, just playing out the 5/4.
And it does great work here. It's going to trade off cleanly the Tar Creeper that was just picked up.
Yeah.
Trades with everything that's on Snowman's board at the moment. It's difficult for Snowman to justify holding onto this Hungry Crab for much longer. But you also don't want to just throw it away when even Silent Storm's hero power is spitting out Murlocs.
Yeah, it is interesting to me because you see the Druid is not really pushing much pressure.
Yeah.
And the Paladin very obviously just made the hero power token, the 1/1 Murloc. So like this tells you something how Bulgaria is approaching this matchup. They're just really trying to get bored. They're not trying to play for any kind of value nonsense.
Okay, makes sense. Just hero powering down the minions so that the Tar Creeper is going to actually trade it away. And Silent Storm not got the most appealing turn himself now. Can't quite spike with Steed just yet. If he could, it would be another story. Okay.
Well, this is, I mean, from what you can see, this is a great turn. You play down the Tidecaller, you play down the Hydrologist. Yeah. Sounds like the most sophisticated Murloc ever, just saying his name over and over.
Hydrologist is pretty sophisticated.
I don't actually understand what Hydrologist is saying, so.
Eureka. I've done it.
Oh, there you go.
Just your Murloc translation there.
We need subtitles.
Oh, no noble sacrifice present. So Getaway Kodo is usually the obvious one, but you don't need value in this matchup.
No, you just need to starve the Druid out of resources. And then, I mean, there is, depending on the style of Druid, you can run into Genzo, you can run into Bittertide Hydra. Living Mana, pretty much a thing that is just in this deck in general, regardless of the particulars. Okay, so Hungry Crab is going to find some value here. That's my question is it enough? Market Lotus helps.
Okay, yeah. Snowman it's time to go all in, isn't it? You can deal with everything. Oh, no, you can't. Yeah, you can. Of course you can. I'm forgetting about Hungry Crab.
Don't forget about Hungry Crab, man.
Yeah. I was thinking, oh, no.
That's how songs like Forgot About Dre get made. You probably don't know that one either.
Nope. I was thinking he can't hero power if he plays the Hungry Crab, but he doesn't need to because Hungry Crab does the work for him. Yeah? Get rid of everything, set up this huge, or not huge fledgling, but set up this fledgling that's...
I mean, a 4/4 fledgling is... He's been at the gym a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not quite Lothar swole, but he's like Frodan swole.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fair.
The Instagram pictures aren't coming in just yet, but you know he's heading there.
Nobody is offended by this.
I was complimenting two casters. Seriously, they both work out and they're in great shape. So, all right. Well, there's the Tyrion. Dirty Rat. You know you can just play as a 2/6. That does protect your face.
That's just the pick then. It also means that Vicious Fledgling can't hit the face this turn at the moment. As long
No. That's the biggest thing is that you're stopping that unless like it's that second Savage Roar comes out. Second Hungry Crab.
It's not going to do much against this hand. Well, there's the hero power still.
Snowman has the look of a man who really just wants to hit this guy in the face, but just can't.
Yeah, I think everyone that's ever had a Vicious Fledgling on the board has felt that way, though.
What is the actual connection rate, I wonder, of Vicious Fledgling to face? It just feels like you always had that Vicious Fledgling dream, and then unless you have Innervate, it just like always dies.
All I know is that I haven't seen it trading that often.
It's true. Does not trade unless there's a shield around the minion, literally forcing it to.
Yes. One of these 2-attack minions can go face, though. Playing around the secrets is difficult. Snowman may feel the need to try and hero power first to play around Noble Sacrifice.
Well, it's not even, the rest of his hand is basically nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like you have mana, you might as well just test for it. All right, well, Stonehill Defender going back in the hand now.
Kind of rewarded. Depends what the next Stonehill Defender pulls out, I guess.
Yeah, we see Curator in the hand. Now, if he just plays down the Curator, that Vicious Fledgling is going to be able to connect face.
Yep.
And, you know, Bulgaria is pretty low.
Primordial Drake isn't quite ready to...
Do you play Stonehill Defender and try to find a 4 mana or less taunt?
Yeah, but what if you miss?
Yeah.
It's unlikely that you miss.
I never know. I mean, the Paladin has some of the best top end. And it tends to pull more frequently from class cards. I mean, Burn Bristle's amazing.
Burn Bristle would be fine here. Grimestreet Protector would not. Tyrion wouldn't. Tarion wouldn't.
Some of the best Paladin-specific taunts are over 4 mana.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I'm okay to gamble here rather than just accept getting hit in the face by the Fledgling.
Like, worst case scenario, you still get hit in the face by the Fledgling, as you said.
I mean, if you get Fledgling, if the Fledgling goes Wind Fury attack, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you gotta roll the dice here.
Yep. Bulgaria, agree with you, Silent Storm. He can grab Shield Bearer.
That's technically protecting him, and then you roll into that Primordial Drake turn. Goodbye, Fledgling.
Unless there's a Savage Roar. Or does Mark of the Lotus do it? Mark of the Lotus would do the trick. Genzo the Shock, not going to do it. Unfortunately, Hungry Crab doesn't kill the correct minion.
Come on, Hungry Crab. Can't you just kill a Draenei once?
Yeah. Or a turtle.
I love this animation, by the way, when Genzo is played.
I just love the golden card art there, where you just see all the different card backs flying around.
It reminds me of post-casting Raven. I just see him out there just being Genzo the Shark. Just kind of how I imagine him.
He does love the card. There it is. Every time it attacks, Snowman's going to be restocking his hand up to 3. Problem is... Oh no, we'll get to attack next turn.
Yeah, the Primordial Drake here is going to take out a priority target as well as the 2/2 cat, but Consecration is just not better.
No, it's not. It's the same, but without the body.
Ragnaros pretty much just assures you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just has to be the Primordial Drake.
Deals with 2 of the minions, puts a big taunt in the way.
Yeah, taunt, any kind of buff, though, is really bad.
3 damage off. Living mana.
Okay, so...
But Genzo the Shark has the potential to...
So I think you trade off the 3/3, the 4/2, you hero power, you hit the Paladin in the face.
Yeah.
Well, you play Living Mana first. And then
do you, though?
Well,
yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, because you have to attack with it anyway.
Yeah.
So since you're attacking with the Genzo, it wouldn't be a thing where Savage Roar...
Or do you attack with Genzo first, as in the first thing you do this turn?
I guess that's technically gives you the chance for lethal.
Yeah.
You do a little bit less damage, though.
No, gonna do it this way. If he did that, then I think Savage Roar may have been lethal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so, yep, you played Living Mana and then attack.
Playing for the long game here by playing the Living Mana first, hoping that he can get a win next turn. Power of the World or Mark of the Lotus would be huge to play around Consecration this turn. He gets the Mark of the Lotus.
Yeah, that is that is brutal.
Finally, Snowman seems to have overcome the final hurdle Tareem not going to do anything for Silent Storm here.
Yeah, this is a situation where that just shows how powerful Genzo is. I mean, Genzo also just in general has a great body for being in an aggressive Druid deck where you just want to be pushing. It's that 5/4 stat line that is really powerful. But yeah, the ability to draw cards is bonkers. And we saw there because of the total mana crystals there, the Druid had the ability to play the living mana, hero power, and then just go ahead and get that Mark of the Lotus, which if a buff wasn't there, that consecration was going to at least clean up the living mana, but I think Genzo still would have gotten through.
Yeah, it would have been a little bit closer. Mark of the Lotus made a big difference just because it guaranteed the win immediately. So, 2 wins to Italy, 1 to Bulgaria. We're going to head into game number 4, which is going to be Golan Pachaga versus Turner. Turner on the Rogue, Golan Pachaga on the Shaman. Ooh, Shaman versus Rogue, probably quite favored for the Shaman.
I want to say Turner plays a lot of Quest Rogue these days, if memory serves me. I'm prepared to be wrong on that one, but yeah, if it is the Quest Rogue, the Evolved Shaman certainly has a favorable matchup there. You just keep getting on the board, and realistically, the only thing that kind of bails out the Rogue is Vanish.
Right.
And even that, it doesn't necessarily always bail them out. It's just, it resets the board, and obviously you're forcing the Shaman to pay all the mana.
Yeah,
threats again.
Just because Shaman can spit out so many resources for so little cost, Primal Fin Totem, Fireflies, etc., etc., Rogue struggles to, because Quest Rogue has so little removal, it does struggle to keep that board at bay.
Yeah, it's a big problem for the Rogue, and the Rogue needs time to get that quest going unless they just have that God draw that we do see every so often, it feels like. But yeah, it's certainly favored for the Shaman. Now, if it's the control version of Shaman, the Spirit Echo Shaman, that is a lot slower, and the Quest Rogue is essentially just kind of gets a free win there.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen that in a while.
Flip the matchup on its head if it's exactly. Yeah. We could, of course, see Miracle Rogue. We've seen 4 Quest Rogues today, 1 Miracle Rogue in this series. Yeah. Maybe both of these teams have brought Miracle Rogue.
No, it's totally possible. Like I said, both Rogues feel extremely viable these days.
Yeah.
So wouldn't hate it. It just kind of depends on what Turn is feeling. I want to say when I've gone back and seen Turna, he's been playing Quest Rogue lately. But yeah, Turna, again, I made mention of it earlier. He's one of those characters I really liked from the Hearthstone Championship Tour last year. He's just very excited to play the game. You know, we see a lot of pros who play the game, you know, for 8 or 9 hours a day. Naturally, there's some degree of burnout. But Turna, every time I've seen him, you know, talking in public, Turna's just very excitable, and he's just very upbeat about the potential of getting more wins, getting more prestige from Italy. We haven't seen him in the Hearthstone Championship Tour this year just yet, but still time.
It was Spring Championship 2016, wasn't it, European?
Yep.
He has been doing stuff in his own scene, like with Snowman, winning the Italian LAN in Milan. Turner recently won one of the biggest events in terms of prize pool in Italy about a month ago now, I reckon, when he told me this. It was the La Spezia, also a 3K Open. He won the whole thing with a perfect 9-0 Swiss score.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You know, we were talking yesterday. Who was it? Somebody had I think Hoy had an 11-0 Swiss record by the end of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's doing that again, and generally in Hearthstone, success is more than just winning one series. It's about consistency. So
it doesn't guarantee you win the tournament, though.
No.
As we've seen from Hoy. However, Turner did then go on and win the whole tournament.
Yeah.
All right, it is going to be the Quest Rogue versus the probably evolved Shaman.
Okay, so for the Quest Rogue, you understand you are definitely on a clock here, especially if you're not running any of the removal suite, which has mostly been removed. Miracle Rogue has more flexibility in terms of they can find the Fan of Knives to bring the board to heal early with like a Blood Mage Thalnos. Backstab gives you game against certain boards and certain minions, but for the Quest Rogue, they really need to all in on just getting that quest done.
Right.
So keeping bounces, keeping cheap minions is certainly the safest way to approach it.
Yep, they definitely need to do something and do something very quickly. It's one of those matchups where I think you prefer to have deckhand in the hand. Okay, let's slow down. That's not an evolved Shaman.
That is probably going to just be the Control Shaman.
Control, Jade, Spirit Echoes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the thing we call it, we're just like, it's a Shaman that doesn't use Bloodlust.
Right, I stopped mid-sentence there. I was going to say, Turner might be tempted to keep the Salty deckhand here because getting an early patches to actually contest with the board is quite valuable. However, against the Jade Shaman, which I was not expecting to see today, you said earlier this means probably a free win for the Rogue.
I mean, this is really the Spirit Echo Shaman goes real slow.
Yeah.
It is not designed to necessarily pressure. similar to the N'Zoth Paladin, the idea is that it just kind of grinds you out. Free win may be a bit of an exaggeration, but
Right.
it is really favored for the Quest Rogue because the Quest Rogue is fine if you give it time. Now that said, looking at the actual metrics of this particular match, Golem Pachaga, does have what you would consider to be on 3. At least you can go 3-4 and have like an okay curve. But it's like a sketch okay curve. You're like, well, you're trying to find the upside here. You're like, we play a minion on this turn, and then on the next turn we play another minion. But that is I think Turn is going to be operating under the assumption that this is just the standard token shaman that's literally everywhere.
Yep. He's not going to think that for too much longer, though. As Bulgaria can fake it for the time being. Yep, dropping the Jade Claws. You expect that in the token shaman. Though
Oh my goodness, there are the 3 bounce effects.
There you go. This doesn't complicate things for Turner because he can just dagger up, get rid of it. That's what I think Rogue always does in this situation, in this matchup.
Well, the only possible reason maybe he wouldn't is because he thinks this is token shaman and he just needs to really get on the quest. Like he can lead the 1-1 up maybe. And then at that point you could just play down the deckhand. You could bounce it with a youthful Brewmaster. I mean, obviously from what we can see, I just like the dagger here.
Right.
But there may be a situation where he feels like he really has to go fast and he doesn't have time to waste a turn on the dagger. I don't know. It may just be... Another consideration is that you could dagger coin, South Sea deckhand, Shadow Step, the South Sea deckhand.
Wow. That's a big turn for turn 2. It just doesn't seem necessary to me. Next turn...
But no, we know that it's not necessary. But I'm saying, yeah, if you think it's a token shaman, which again, like every single time I queue into shaman right now, I assume it's token shaman.
Of course. It's just about working out how you can get that quest complete as early as possible whilst still controlling the board as best you can.
Sure.
With this play, next turn he can play deckhand and then bounce it back. And with the Youthful Brewmaster, then he can play it again, bounce it back with Brewmaster again, and then play it in Shadow Step. It looks like that's the fastest he's going to get this quest completed. He might... Right, that might be a hint. It's turn 3, and that was just a hero power. Where's the Primal Fin Totem? Where's the Mana Tide Totem?
Where's Stonehill Defender, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, he was actually locked out of 1 mana, so...
Then yeah, also...
So maybe it's not necessary. You could just say
Also-
maybe he has drawn poorly.
Also, Jade Shaman still runs these cards. The Mana Tide Totem and the Stonehill Defender.
So many
Usually.
options.
Yeah. All right, well, Turner has the bounces, so nothing but between him and this win, but ample opportunity.
Yeah. Can even push 1 damage to the face with the patches there.
Yep.
Could bounce the patches for BM. He's got the tools to complete the quest regardless. No, that doesn't seem smart.
But does it seem like a fun way to win?
It does seem like a fun way to win.
Where's that Italian bravado? Just go for that.
Hey, I enjoyed the Prophet Velen Fireball as much as you did earlier.
Yeah. We've certainly had we've been spoiled in terms of highlight reel today. Maybe it's too much to ask for the patches BM.
Okay, here we go. Alarm bells ringing. Junior Water Speaker is never in Evolve Shaman.
Turner just says to the rest of the Italian voice comms, wait a minute. What is that card?
That's not right.
All right, so...
Well, he can have the quest complete next turn. He can play deckhand, bounce it, play deckhand again, bounce it with Shadow Step. The next turn, Shadow Step, play the quest.
Yeah.
That's it. Quest done.
Just get it done. You've got Mimic Pod, you've got a Novice Engineer. You're just going to be drawing resources all day.
This game is going to be nigh on impossible for the Shaman to win.
Yeah, I mean, I like to usually consider, like, hey, how can things be won? But this is, again, this is just a problem of this deck. And this is... Quest Rogue is pretty much billed as destroying control decks. And it certainly lives up to expectations in a lot of scenarios.
Is it possible for the Shaman to run the Rogue out of resources? I just don't see it happening. Like you said, Novice Engineer, Mimic Pod.
You need Volcano. I've seen it a couple times where the Shaman has, like, really gotten close to it with the Volcanoes. But it really requires, like, both Volcanoes.
Golem Pachaga shot us a bit of a smile there. As he knows what's up. Quest complete and activated coming up next turn.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for being hopeful, but I definitely don't want to be disingenuous. This is just a really rough spot. The Jade Shaman just does not push pressure You know, once he gets to 6, okay, Eye of Black Paw comes down. That is a degree of pressure that is certainly worthy of mention, but it's next turn. And next turn the quest is going to be done, and you know it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if things truly get crazy, you know what? Turner can just vanish. The shaman stuff costs mana.
Oh man, it's so absurd how favored the rogue is right now. If the shaman somehow wins this game, it's going to be one of the greatest comebacks in Hearthstone history.
That's when the narrator voice is like, but he didn't win that game.
Yeah, that's right, we flash forwards.
Yeah. All right, well, you know, you dealt with patches. Not now, Babbling Book. Not now. We already casted a spell.
Yeah, no spells coming from this one.
Okay. Well.
More value later on, I guess.
Yeah.
But a 5/5 deckhand is going to be charging into Bulgaria's face right now. Well, I guess he might hit the Ginny Water Speaker.
Yeah, I mean, it's... If you know the list 100%, there's no Flame Tongue totems in this.
Yep.
So it's one of those situations where you may just say, like, okay, I don't think I get punished by that. There's no Bloodlusts.
I don't know, though, because Evolve Shaman is so popular, I wonder if you ever fear some sort of hybrid list. Like, what if the Flame Tongue starts to appear? What if Bloodlust starts to appear? We saw Bloodlust and Elemental Shaman earlier.
Sure. No, I don't hate the trade. I think it's just strictly safer. You know, you can use your dagger. Just go ahead and finish it off. You get a good value trade. Turner's just thinking now, is there's any way he can like end this as soon as like next turn. I don't hate face and I don't hate trading here. The only like trading into the 1/1 is the only thing that like any of the 1/1s stands out as being like the only like truly subpar option.
Mimic Pod into Stone Tusk Boar. Would that be enough? Not quite.
Just gonna hit him in the face. The Shaman deck does have some healing.
Oh, I'm surprised to see the trade there. Because he needs to deal 2 damage with the dagger to get that extra increment of 5.
Yeah.
But now there's definitely no lethal in the next 2 turns. Well, not definitely, but it's so unlikely.
Well, let's go ahead and see if Golem Pachaga passes his Do Not Hex the 5/5 test.
Could devolve the 5/5, turn it into a Wisp instead. 5/5 Wisp.
All right, well, Bulgaria just going on the board and saying, well, I don't know, maybe I have a Bloodlust in here. They might. Bloodlust, certainly a one-off inclusion we've seen in other Shaman decks that aren't necessarily predicated around the token approach.
This is just a Vanish, right?
I'm pretty sure in pretty much every conceivable universe you're vanishing here.
Yeah.
You don't even like, okay, Bloodlust is like the one way maybe you just lose.
Vanish just seems so strong. Sure, you allow your opponent to heal again, but big deal, he has to, again, like you said before, Shaman cards cost mana. Rogue cards, okay, yeah, they cost mana, but they don't cost much mana.
But you can easily pay that mana with the tears of your enemy.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's just one vial of mana, tears, whatever you call it.
Bulgaria have definitely been crying this game.
Okay, well,
At Vanish, sure, why not? Like, that works too.
I would have vanished on this turn just to, I don't know, play around crazy Bloodlust shenanigans, because the hand is a little bit slow with the double Mimic Pod, Igneous Elemental. He doesn't have like the Glacial Shard follow-up. He doesn't have anything else.
Okay, do you know what? Turner is obviously confident that he knows this deck list. He doesn't feel as though he's under any threat whatsoever.
Sure.
Bloodlust would not be lethal anyway. He's only leaving 2 minions alive. Now Golem Pachaga has to work out a way to get Italy off of this board.
Yeah, you know what? The more I look at how this turn actually went, I do like this better than the Vanish. I was obviously really high on the Vanish, but since you yourself don't really have a lot of minions to bounce,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. You are reducing the overall power, and the odds of a lot of these minions getting played again is fairly low.
Yep, I agree with you. Thinking about it, the way this has turned out, he's left 8 damage on the board. Turner has 20 health. It's not a threat at the moment. Like, what's the most possible damage here? Jade Lightning or Bloodlust? And that's nothing.
Yeah, it's very much a drop in the bucket.
One of those cards plus Flame Tongue Totem is the absolute worst it can be. Just vanish after this. Get rid of the Spirit Echo your own way. Aya does go back in the hand, though. That's pretty good. Whew.
Yeah, I like hitting. Prep Banish.
And then Balfin.
Yeah.
Or even Mimic Pod.
I mean, you can prep that out, play the Bilefin.
Nah, I prefer Balfin to Mimic Pod, actually.
Yeah, at that point, you're just... Yeah.
Hit pace, hit face, hit pace?
Hit pace.
Hit the pace.
Pace is the place.
That's the one. Hit face, prep Vanish, Balfin Tidehunter. You leave 2 5/5s on the board, one of which is Taunt. Not under any risk whatsoever. Looks
Yeah,
like
and you can set up lethal with your dagger on the next turn.
just playing with the set in the background up there. Ooh.
Oh, wow. I hear this music a lot in some of the places I go to.
Ah.
Yeah.
Just some insight to Rob Wing and his hobbies.
Yep. I actually really enjoy that portal in the jacuzzi. It just feels like Karazhan would just be like a fun place to live.
Which one are you going to get? Where are you going to go?
I don't know. All right, well, from what we can see here, Bulgaria can survive another turn.
Yeah, Jade Chieftain is a taunt, and the Hot Spring Guardian also a taunt.
Yeah, you could play the Hot Spring Guardian as well as the Jinyu.
Or the Stonehill Defender.
Yeah.
Definitely multiple ways. Going to Pachaga has a huge hand.
Yeah. Definitely multiple ways to make sure this game takes another turn to end. Yeah.
10 cards in hand, in fact.
Better be careful, he doesn't want to mill one of those.
Got to use them to stall for as long as possible. Keep that screen time going in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Help is on the way, Golem Pachaga. I don't know where it is. It's probably not on it. Golem Pachaga, you're going to die.
Just got to stall for that Yogg.
Yeah.
Somehow counter the quest.
The Deathwing you run in there.
I don't even think that would be good enough.
No, it would not. Okay, well, Mimic Pod seems to be just a straightforward play.
Mimic Pod into a charge minion. Let's go.
Mimic Pod into Stone Tusk Boar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got 2 draws at something with charge.
Should be a second deckhand in there somewhere too.
Yep.
I wonder what he's thinking about.
I don't know, Italian stuff. I don't know, what do you think about a lot, Falcone?
I think I'm a pizza.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That is technically Italian stuff.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, there we go. See, I called it. Easy game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Italy. Turner going to take game number 4 and win themselves the series. Fist pump there as they take the first series in stage 2 of the Hearthstone Global Games. A huge leap towards getting into the top 16.
Yeah, big win for Italy. You know, obviously that Quest Rogue was extremely favored. If I'm Bulgaria, I'm like having a real huddle after this. Be like, why did we bring this? What did we think was going to happen? Is this better than Token Shaman? Like, I don't think it's better than Token Shaman. Like,
I would love to be a fly in the wall for that conversation. I might have to learn another language, but there you go. There's your reminder for how the series went.
Just ask him to speak English as you're spying on their voice. Comes like, please.
Oh, they'd understand. It's fine. Morgalad did manage to take his game with the Druid, but unfortunately his teammates weren't able to have as much success. Yeah. Italy feeling good about this, not even having to go to the ace match.
Yeah, we talked about just how important it is to get that first win in a stage of the tournament that's only 3 weeks long. You only have 3 chances, you know? So getting that first win early on actually just puts you in a really good spot with the top half advancing and then the third place kind of being this weird mixture, but you still have a chance if you finish third in your group.
Right. We are going to have a talk with Snowman and see how they're doing. Hey, Snowman, congratulations once again for getting the win. I want to quickly ask you, now you're in stage 2 of the tournament, how important is it for you to get to top 16?
Hey, yeah, it's really our main goal from the beginning to get to top 16 and then see what happens from there. So one step further into the goal, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, does it feel now that you're here that you guys want it even more? Or are you still just kind of calm, taking it bit by bit?
It's more like the second option you said. It's we take it by bit. We know we're not there yet. We know we still have to take a few steps towards the goal, and then, of course, like there's a huge difference between top 4 and top 8. So obviously the goal has to be top 4. But from top 16 on, it's gonna be single elimination, so you can only like do so much. So we hope to get to top 16 and then see what happens from there.
Yeah, gotta just do your best you possibly can in top 16. Losing one series is out, but for now, you're in a really good space to move forwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Hey Rob, no, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I guess I was curious. When it comes to how you guys kind of get your deck list and how you guys make your preparations, are you guys largely just coming together and like drawing up your own decks, or are you using community resources?
Mostly a mixture of the two.
'Kay.
We usually start from like already deck that are well built, and then we adapt to the format.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. It's good to hear your approach.
Yeah, and I
Thank
just want to ask one final thing. You said to me yesterday that you were a little bit concerned about Bulgaria. You think that they're a good team. So does it feel good to just first game in stage 2 to get that first win under your belt? Like it must feel like that's one of the most worthy opponents dealt with. Not much more to do now.
Yeah, it feels really good. They're a great team, and they always use some technologies to counter the team they're up against. I think they prepare their matches really well. It showed in the match, the second game, in which they had two mind control techs against the Shaman, and those two single-handedly won the game. So we knew that even if we had like good matchups in this series, we could never like let our guard off, because they would surprise us, and they did. And we weren't in a very good position after that second game. We had to win at least one unfavorable matchups. So it feels really good.
Well, congratulations one more time, Snowman. I know that these games mean a lot to you, so go and enjoy your victory, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, one last thing to Rob. Turna says hi to you, and he could not come since it's his birthday, and he had to go for his birthday party, but he wants to say hi to you.
Tell Turna I said hi, and I miss him.
Happy birthday, Turner.
Yeah, happy birthday.
All right, catch you later, Snowman.
Bye-bye.
Winning a game of the Hearthstone Global Games on your birthday must feel pretty good.
It's the ultimate birthday gift if you
Right.
already have a bike.
If you already have a bike. Okay.
Bikes just hands down.
Now, looking back at the series, Italy did have favored matchups all the way through. It felt watching it like this was definitely a favored matchup, the Hunter versus the Rogue. The Evolved Shaman versus the Jade Druid was favored, but as he said, the Mind Control techs did some real work the other way. And the Rogue versus the Control Shaman is favored for Italy as well.
Yeah, but beyond kind of just what is considered favored, and when we as casters say favored, it's kind of a nebulous term, because we can kind of outline some of the breakpoints that make a match favored or unfavored. But what really impressed me most about Italy was their patience and how they played. And I felt they did a good job just seeing the lines, right? Like that Hunter match, there are a lot of people who play that Hunter match, I think, pretty wrong and aren't patient, and ultimately their patience was rewarded. They created the giant scavenging hyena, were able to get maximum value off the double Leok. So I really like what I saw from Italy today, and to be honest, aside from watching some of the VODs just to study it for the North American broadcast, I haven't necessarily had a chance to see too much of Italy.
Yeah, well, you can see why I picked them now.
Yeah, no, they super solid group there. Like what I saw from them. For Bulgaria, I really thought Bulgaria played pretty well too. I guess I don't want to harp on it. I'm sure there was a reason that deck was there, but I really feel like if you watched any of the Hearthstone Championship Tour or any of Global Games, Control Shaman has really not had a successful run. It has its moments where it shines against aggro and can grind out some mid-range decks, but it definitely struggles in a lot of the very common situations these days.
Yeah, it kind of had its time. It's the reason a lot of people were playing it for a while. But Evolved Shaman came along, and it's just the superior Shaman deck.
No, that's kind of what it comes down to. It's just it's superior across so many matchups that it's not even like, you can look at Pirate and Quest Warrior, and I think a lot of people are on the wagon of saying, okay, Pirate Warrior is just objectively the stronger of the two decks, but there's that case for Quest Warrior that is actually pretty rock solid, whereas I feel like the Jade Echo Shaman really just doesn't have enough favorable matchups to make it worth bringing, especially not to stage 2 of something as big as the Hearthstone Global Games.
There's Snowman there getting his nice quick win with the Aggro Druid versus the Control Paladin, and now, finally, Turner with the Quest Rogue gets the Stone Test Ball from the Mimic Pod and takes away the series. Another great one. Really exciting day of Hearthstone we've had today.
Yeah, 4 series, and we had a couple couple of highlight reels there, but let's go ahead and take a look at how Group F shakes out after this first series. Italy on top, 1-0. Bulgaria still has time. This group, though, is another one, and I feel like we're going to say this for most of the groups now that we're down to 24 teams, that's really stacked. You know, Mexico kind of came in, and much like New Zealand, people had questions about where it would land. We saw them also finish 4-1. They had a really strong performance. Canada doesn't need much introduction.
Yeah.
Powerhouse team, certainly from the Americas.
Let's be honest, when you look at this lineup, if you go back in time a few months to before we started with the Hearthstone Global Games, if you had to predict which of these teams would get through to Stage 2, you'd probably just predict Canada. The other teams aren't exactly that well known, but now Hearthstone Global Games have given them the chance to prove themselves, and all 4 of these teams are in it to win it.
Yeah, I certainly, you know, if you'd asked me at the beginning if I thought Bulgaria was going to be a powerhouse, just looking at the team, I'd be like, oh, I see Best Udyr and I see Morgulad, but I certainly would have thought, you know, they were necessarily as good as they are. So, yeah, people telling their stories.
Let's take another look at the results from today's games. First up, New Zealand with a decisive 3-0 victory, taking down Hungary. That was just a solid series of Hearthstone. Well played by New Zealand there.
Yep. Malaysia then went on to 3-2 Singapore. That was a really close series. We saw it come down to, as it did in the series after that, just the Quest Rogue mirror.
All about the Quest Rogue today. Quest Rogue's being played in the final game in many of these series, as you said, Austria versus Ukraine. Also, the 3-2 to Ukraine, Calento finishing that up with the Quest Rogue. And then finally, Italy, Turner finishing that up with the Quest Rogue.
Yeah, really solid play overall from the teams today. It's good to see that in Stage 2, we're getting people who are really making the effort to kind of make sure their plays are, you know, they're taking their time, they're methodical. So, yep.
Right, let's take a look at how the schedule is looking for tomorrow. First up, Netherlands versus the Philippines, the Czech Republic versus Israel, Greece versus Peru, Belgium versus the United States, and Canada versus Mexico, the other 2 teams in the group that we just watched to finish up the day. Are you looking forward to any of these in particular, Rob?
Yeah, you know, a little bit of a homer pick there, but United States versus Belgium. You know, I really want to see the United States. They took their first loss. They took a pretty hard one to Peru, 3-0. So I want to see them kind of recover and right the ship. Obviously, while our caster picks are in and I picked Canada, the rule is that you couldn't pick your own country. Yeah. I'm certainly red, white, and blue in it here. Otherwise, I really want to see Canada versus Mexico.
We've both cheated that a little bit. I'm half Italian. I picked Italy. You picked Canada. You know.
Well, I couldn't pick UK, and good for you.
Well, that's true. Guys, that is it from us today, but we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. CET. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's games. Rob's looking forward to tomorrow's games. We hope you are too. We'll catch you then.